Hey everyone, welcome back. This is episode 102 of At the Coffee Table podcast. I'm Jason Klink with my co-host Bob Kahn, and I think anybody that's followed the podcast will recognize our returning guest. This is Michelle Berman or Michelle Michael, depending on when you met her. So just to give you a little background on Michelle, she's a nationally sought after Instagram content development coach, speaker. She's the owner of Berman-Mikel PD. She's also the creator of the Instagram Power Method program. It's an online course that teaches realtors and loan officers how to leverage their power on Instagram to not only scale their relationships, but also build credibility in their local markets. Michelle is also the host of her own podcast, The Coffee and Questions. And she's had guests such as, I'll kill these names, Daniel Harkov. You're probably going to have to say that one for me. Phil Treadwell,
Daniel
Amy Harkavy, Amy Charu, Bill Hart, and more. Michelle, thanks for coming back on the podcast.
Absolutely.
My pleasure. It's been awesome. Since I was on here last, we launched our own podcast and it's been wild.
I'm pretty sure the first time you were on here, I was in like single digits or maybe double digits by then.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it's been at least a year and a half, probably.
Yeah, if not two. So I wanted to have Michelle back on because of, to me, the way I recognize it is kind of the ebb and flow and the differences that goes into social media marketing, and that's Michelle's forte is social media marketing, Instagram marketing. She works specifically with real estate agents and mortgage lenders. And I can vouch for the Instagram Power Method because early on when my real estate business kind of took a tank, I had the pleasure of getting introduced to Michelle and took the course, and it really helped me for a guy that, really didn't understand business yet, didn't understand marketing, to be able to take that course and get some kind of understanding of how Instagram can power your business, especially if you're a real estate agent. And Bob, you'll be able to kind of contest to that with 35 years in the business that you had to jump in and learn all this marketing stuff.
Yeah, I wish I was 20 when I started learning all this stuff.
Michelle,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Michelle, from the time that you and I had met, I think it was 2018 or 19.
It was 2019. I remember.
2019. Yes. So between then and now, so now we're almost 4 years later. How much change have you seen just in how people go about, especially real estate agents go about doing real estate marketing? Because I know when I had started, realistically, the real estate industry was kind of in its infancy when it came to embracing social media marketing.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great question. And I think, honestly, even processing that in my own mind, I think we're like the fifth person to buy the Instagram Power Method program back in early, like mid to late 2019. So my program didn't even launch until November of that year. In July, we did like a mini soft launch after going on Phil Treadwell's podcast. But I remember driving, I was on my way to my best friend's baby shower, and I sold the course to you over the phone. But what is in the Instagram Power Method program now, my team and I just submitted the Word document to my team of all of the updates, and the course itself now is almost 90 videos. We have 24 homework assignments. I mean, the amount of content that has been added to the program is wild. What we're doing is allowing real estate agents to really leverage content. So people understand that they need to produce content. I think that's become the norm. People get that. But what people are missing is, how can I leverage content and cross-pollinate? How can I leverage circumstances like something like the 12 Days of Giving, right? Which is notoriously known as like the 12 Days of Christmas, but the spin on it being 12 Days of Giving, so that anybody can take part in that. And what it has done for, I had a client yesterday who called me and said that she got asked to be in a magazine and got a free 3-page spread in the local magazine for like her city that she specializes in for free, which is, I don't know, probably $1,000 that she got for free. because the lady said, "Hey, I saw your 12 days of giving. Obviously, you like supporting small businesses. Can we support you?" Right? So while that didn't turn into a real estate lead specifically, right? That's $1,000 magazine spread in her city that she's trying to sell real estate in. That's a huge win to me, right? But
Oh yeah, 100%.
the reality is that what we were doing in 2019, the methodology hasn't changed, right? The thought process behind why we're supposed to be doing what we're supposed to be doing has not changed. But what has changed is the emphasis on the word of the year, which you probably saw me post yesterday, Jason. But as a team, we had a meeting right at the end of the year, and we said, what is the word of 2023 for us when it comes to Instagram? And what we decided is psychology, because if you can truly understand who your ideal client is and you can really tap into the brains of that person and then start to create content to serve them and not to serve yourself, it's going to be wildly different. Should you be doing video? Of course, everybody knows that. Should you be posting reels? Yes, you should be doing that. Should you be engaging? Yes, like all of these things we already know. But what most people are missing is that one piece, which is it's all about connection. And somebody wants to look at your content and say, me too. And, or, wow, Jason just told a story about somebody that he's worked with, and I can see myself in that story. So I'm going to call Jason. And you may not be the best real estate agent as far as volume is concerned, but you're the best real estate agent for me, right? Based off that. And that's the key.
What do you think, as a former real estate agent, it's not that long ago that I retired, is the biggest mistake that realtors make, whether it's Instagram or the rest of them, but specifically Instagram?
Yeah, specifically Instagram it's a one thing. They get into it with the intention of selling. They think all of a sudden I'm going to start posting on Instagram, I'm going to generate business instantaneously. And if that is your mentality, you will not, right? The phrase goes, expectation is the root of all suffering. My business coach has said that to me 100 times over the last 3+ years of coaching with him. And the reality is that if we look at our platform and we say, I'm going to post this piece of content and my DMs are going to blow up, everyone's going to reach out to me and say, Michelle, we want to buy the Instagram power. Like, that's not going to happen, right? What is going to happen is I have excellent content, and now I have to take it to the next level, right? I have to start conversations. I have to engage with others. I have to make others feel heard and seen. And then I have to give them the opportunity through the art of storytelling to see why they should want to work with me or where they would fit in to working with me. So as real estate agents, right, you guys post listings, you post, here's the 5 steps to the home buying process. And in your mind, you're like, if I post this, someone's going to reach out to me to buy real estate. And the reality is that the person consuming your content doesn't care about the last house you just sold. What they care about is the story of the person in the house too.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true, because even I know from my own personal content that I post, like anything I post on real estate it gets so interaction. Anything I post, like personal, the kids, going on a camping trip, whatever, that always does so much better than anything else, because people, real people want to deal with real people. And at the end of the day, I love how you put the psychology part of that in there, because truly at the end of the day, real people just want to deal with real people, and they don't want to hear buy or sell, buy or sell, buy or sell.
Yeah, it's interesting how things have changed.
Reality is like it. Go ahead, Bob. Sorry.
It's interesting how things have changed over the 36 years since I got my license, where it was all sell, because they were coming to us. We didn't really have to go spend a lot of time getting them. Then it went to image real estate. I'm great. I have 10,000 listings. Look at my nice car. And now it's gone to psychology and friendship. My father used to say, people will only buy from someone they trust, and trust means friendship. And do you know who Floyd Wickman is? Michelle?
I do not.
Okay, Floyd Wickman, along with Mike Ferry, were one of the 3 top people in the 70s, 80s, and 90s in terms of real estate training. I took his course in 1987, And one of the things I remember is people don't care what you know till they know that you care.
Yeah.
Simple.
Mhm.
And Jason and I have talked about it. He started out as my coach, and the rest is history. But
Yeah. And here we are today.
using the psychology, that's simple. Don't tell me what you can do for me. Let me know who you are, because if I don't like you, it doesn't matter what you can do for me.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. It comes down to that, right? And I think the best part, and I'll use Jason as an example because we've obviously been friends for a long time now. He's seen me go through a lot of life, right? Like as a client of mine, he's seen me get married. He's seen me get pregnant. He's seen me have a baby. He's seen me move to Louisiana. Like he's just been there for all of that. When in reality, like Jason and I talk in our DMs occasionally here and there, right? But like, to me, Jason's my friend because we truly have maintained our relationship because of what Instagram affords us, right? And so if more real estate agents, more mortgage professionals, if they look at a platform as an opportunity to stay connected and to, hey, I got the lead, now I actually have to nurture it and not assume it's going to convert tomorrow,
Right.
they will be a lot more successful. And I think what one like little trick somebody could do, right, is if you go and you're doing an open house, instead of just asking for someone's name to sign in, have your Instagram thing there and a QR code for that person to be able to follow you on Instagram. Like it's the simplest thing, but nobody's doing it. And I just don't know why. Because the reality is if I want to get to know you, I'm going to go find you on social media. And if you don't exist there, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever that platform of choice might be for you, if you don't exist there, I am not hiring you. And I think the other side of it is the referral process. People have so long or for so long relied on referrals. And they're like, oh, I'm the referral guy. I never have to worry about going and getting business because everyone just refers everyone to me. Well, that referral is not worth what it used to be worth, because I probably am connected to a ton of mortgage professionals, right? Or real estate agents. Even if I'm just somebody that is scrolling Instagram aimlessly, like I'm probably connected to a lot more than I think I am. So those people are subliminally the people I'm in front of or that are in front of me. And so when it is time for me to go hire someone to buy a house, I'm going to hire someone that I have a pre-existing subliminal relationship with and be like, oh yeah, I remember that Instagram account. I'm going to go find it. And that's what I'm going to hire.
And I think one of the bigger takeaways that I took from the Power Method course was the fact that your Instagram, your social media is essentially your website. I mean, and I've told many real estate agents, as even Bob included, was people are looking for homes on Zillow, on realtor.com, and they're looking at social media. They're not going to insert real estate name here.com because it's not readily acceptable when they can go and scroll through and find a real estate agent, right?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. And if you're not there and you're not scrollable, it's not happening. But I think, my husband and I are moving to Tennessee in June. My husband works for the military and is getting transferred, and we're very grateful to get out of Louisiana. But, it was one of those things that for us, I know thousands and thousands of mortgage professionals. I mean, right now alone, I probably have 200 saved as actual contacts in my phone that I actually talk to on a regular basis. So it's like, hey, okay, I'm moving to Tennessee. Who am I going to call to do my home loan, my personal home loan for my husband and I? And it was somebody who, and the person we chose was somebody who really cared about Dave and I as a husband and wife and as a military family and as somebody who wanted to really build a house and somebody who truly was willing to let me ramble on the phone and get everything out of my brain into words, and have him make it make sense. And I've owned 4 homes. This will be my 5th. I have never worked with a loan officer that has been better than this gentleman ever. And that's a huge compliment to him, considering I've been in the industry for 8 years, right? So I know a lot of them, but if you go and you consume him on Instagram, He is a dad. He is a husband. He is a guy who loves snowboarding. He is a former Marine, right? He's just a guy that's really relatable, that makes me feel like he cares about me. And he also, this is the one thing I think we should shift gears to, is he's available. So if I send him a DM on Instagram, he responds to me. It may not be instantaneous, but it is darn near it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Jason's a lot like I am in that the way I did and the way he does real estate, without even thinking about it, was relationship building, because there were very few clients that I had over the years that I didn't get friendly with. The problem was I didn't get it in my head that it doesn't end at the closing.
Right.
And we didn't have social media. We had personal marketing, I think is the company. They would send stuff out for 5 years. In other words, more crap mail.
Yeah, or junk mail.
Yeah. And we all know that unless you have like you said, a relationship with a specific person, it's going to be whoever calls them at the right moment or sends them the right postcard at the right moment. Then came social media. I mean, I was managing a real estate office, excuse me, in 2009 through 11, when social media started coming on board. People started buying ads on Facebook and stuff. And I went, this is stupid. That's how smart I am. Yeah. But one of the questions I have to ask you, I'm hoping that you have the answer. Why the hell do they keep changing everything on it seems like a moment by moment basis?
Yeah, I think the fast answer to that is keeping people engaged, and I think we're in an age of instant gratification and the desire to always be evolving, right? You're dealing with a generation of people that go by the saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I think that that's the nature of business as a whole too. And I've been in business for 8 years, and who I was 8 years ago as a business owner and leader is not who I am today. And
Sure.
I think that's a good thing, right? So I think with Instagram, it's the same thing. You're dealing with an age of TikTok, and Snapchat's really not too much of a thing for our generation anymore, at least. I haven't even been on Snapchat in probably 5 years. But you have all of these other platforms, like Clubhouse was huge during COVID, right?
Yeah.
I think for about a year and a half, Clubhouse was this like, oh my gosh, if you're not on Clubhouse, you're totally FOMO, right? You're missing out. And I got a ton of business off of Clubhouse because I was there. I was available to people to be able to earn that. But the reality is like Instagram has done such a brilliant job at staying up with all of those things and being able to allow for new things to be implemented into the program without us having to go seek it elsewhere, right? So literally anything and everything you could want to do on any of those other platforms, you can do in the Instagram app. So as far as why it changes all the time, I truly think that it's because the creators of Instagram, and if you follow him on Instagram, I mean, if you follow his personal account on Instagram, you'll see he just eats, breathes, sleeps every little tiny detail that makes it 1% better. And I think that's why Instagram will always be my platform of choice, but in my opinion, will always be the platform that people should be using moving forward.
What do you think is the best, or and without giving away that your secret sauce, so to say, with the course, but what do you think? What's your best tips now to really make a splash, so to say, on Instagram in order to really start engaging and really connecting with people?
There's 4, and for those of you guys listening who follow Inman, I write for Inman, and so a lot of this stuff comes out through the Inman platform now in various ways. But obviously, Instagram, as far as I'm concerned, is the fastest way to get to that information for me. But there's 4 main ones. What we did was we actually accumulated 4 mistakes people were making in 2022, or kind of 4 things we saw in 2022 that people need to stop doing moving into 2023. And the very first one was stock marketing, or stock marketing content, if you will. So there's two different forms of that, right? There's branded photo shoot photos, like people pay for a photographer to come take beautiful pictures of them, and then they think that that's their Instagram content. It's not, nor is that what you should be posting on Instagram. There is a time and a purpose for those really great photos, and there's, we do them, we use them, but not for Instagram. So that is a big problem, because what happens is, who is that person on the other side of that photo? You can't tell that I'm a mom, or that I'm a wife, or that I'm, doing all of the things that I have going on in my life if that's all I posted, right? I had somebody reach out to me yesterday because I went from training for a 5K to training for a 10K. And he goes, "Hey, I haven't seen you post a run lately. Are you still running?" Like, they're that involved in my running, right? And I don't know this person. And so being able to pull the curtain back and say, like, I'm a real person doing real things, living a real life, you can't get from a branded photo shoot photo of me sitting perfectly with my hair done in a pretty kitchen, right? So that's problem one. Problem number two is DMing. Go ahead, Jason. Were you going to say something?
No, well, I was just thinking that, you're saying branded photos, but does that include like branded videos as well?
I think yes and no. So branded videos, it depends on what you qualify that as, right? So what I would tell people is get your cell phone, turn it around and talk to it, and be very genuine. Jason, you do a great job of this. You're in stories every day. But just being genuine on video is, in my opinion, a lot more powerful than the super duper polished type. Because the super duper polished type, and again, like, I know that you're standing in front of a green screen, or that you have this big giant camera in your face, right? Like, I just know as a consumer of that content that that's not you after you left the gym and you're having this like God moment and you just want to flip your phone around and talk about it,
Gotcha.
So to me, it's more genuine.
Because just going back to what Bob was saying, because it really, and everybody blames the algorithm, but I'll give you a case in point. Like, the interactions on my content has really dropped off since the end of last year. And no matter how I change up hashtags or add topics or whatever it might be, and the only thing I can contribute it to is just the space is that much more active, that much more crowded now. So it's tough. It's more difficult to get airtime, I guess, so to say, in order to keep building from that. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I think this goes back to, me coaching you and saying, you own the Instagram power method and you own it for life. I would say you need to get back in there and you need to figure out where you're at. Because the reality is that, your engagement dropping on your actual content, and everybody's experiencing that, right? That's just across Instagram as a whole. But you can curb the result side of it by making sure that you're still having the amount of conversations and connecting with the amount of people you should be connecting with every single day. And, we have a 45-20 rule. We actually just built, or in the middle of building, a brand new module all around the 45-20 rule, for people who really need to understand, where do I go find people to have conversations with? How do I connect with them? How do I talk to them? How do I end the message, right? Even that initial message that you would send to someone has really changed, because what used to work doesn't work, right? So you have to connect with that person. You have to add value. You have to have some form of nostalgia. There's a lot of things that have to go into that initial message to even elicit a response from the person on the other side of it. So,
right.
That's number two, though, is are you actively in your DMs? And most people in 2022, what we were seeing is when they would call us, they're like, yeah, I have somebody doing my social media. And I'm like, great. When's the last time you logged in and checked your messages? And, most of them are like, well, I don't. I have somebody for that. And I'm like, that's your first problem. You're calling me, telling me that Instagram's not working for you. And you have a VA who doesn't speak the language and who cannot and does not understand who you actually are as a person, trying to create conversations on your behalf and saying awesome content with a heart on someone's post is not going to elicit a conversation to kind of be sparked, right? It's not going to happen. So people have to, as leaders in their business or in their market, right? Even if you're a broker not actively doing real estate, not selling, right? Maybe you're just running the office. Guess what? You should still be in your own DMs and in your own messages returning those. And as a leader, you have an obligation to your people to do that. And then that goes hand in hand with number 3 is not being available, right? So if you're getting responses and you're spending money on trying to make Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever the hell the platform is, you name it, work for you, and you're not actually going in there and checking those messages daily and then moving that meeting or furthering the conversation, you're telling your audience, I'm not available. And 2, this platform's not that important to me. Right. So imagine if you sent me a message, Jason, to buy my course. Let's say you heard me on a webinar or a podcast or whatever, and you sent me a DM on Instagram and you got an auto responder from me saying, hey, I'll get back to you when I have a chance within 24, 48 hours. But in the meantime, here's the link to go buy my course. Like, imagine if you took the time to send a really intentional message and you got that auto responder back. I guarantee you you're not buying a course. Right?
Yeah. Thanks, but no thanks.
What do you think the longest amount of time between when somebody leaves a message and you contact them? Like, for instance, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know that it has to be instantaneous, but more than a day and you've lost me.
Okay.
And I think that just speaks to, I mean, anything in business and follow-ups. It speaks to follow-ups. If you're right on top of your follow-ups and contacting people, you're going to do much better than somebody that's not following up for days and weeks on end.
Yeah. I mean, would you not return a phone call if someone's left you a voicemail saying, I want to buy a house, or, hey, I'm interested in going and seeing the listing that you have listed? Like, of course you're going to call them back. So you have to look at Instagram or social media as the same thing. You have to look at it as an opportunity to prospect, and you have to value it the same way.
Yeah. Yep. It's part of, and what I used to coach real estate agents on was, that marketing has to be part of your business. It's not just going on appointments. It's not just showing homes. Marketing has to be just as important in your business as your finances, as profit and expense, as lead generation, as those follow-ups. If you don't have the marketing, you're not visible. So if you're not visible, you're invisible, and it's tough for people to pick you out of a crowd because there's thousands of real estate agents in your local area.
For sure. I'm with you, and I think that my number one thing I will say to anybody right now is psychology. You know what it means. Go Google it if you really don't, but you know what that word means, right? A lot of us understand that psychology is the science of the human brain and the understanding of why people make decisions, how and when somebody is going to be ready to make a purchasing decision. A lot of the times has to do with what's firing in our brain. And that's something that we can control, how the person or what people perceive our content as, or what people perceive us as. We can control that, right? So if we can control the controllables, then we know that all of the conversations that we want to have, or the opportunity for conversation, will be there. And then it's up to us to further them. But focus more on what does my person need, and how can I make my person that's consuming my content feel like they know me and feel very connected to me. And if that is happening, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, that's so good. It's so good. And unfortunately, we're kind of short on time here today, and I'm hoping that there's going to be a part 2. Bob, do you have any other one last question or anything to ask Michelle?
Probably, but nothing's popping out in my head right I'm usually the one that's blabbing the most. It's fun to sit back and listen.
Listen and take notes obviously the best way to connect with Michelle is on Instagram, and her handles there are Berman Media Social. I highly recommend, if you are a real estate professional or a mortgage professional and you're struggling with social media marketing, in particular Instagram marketing, that you reach out to Michelle. Check out her course, check out her articles, check out all her content. I mean, besides social media marketing. Like she said, she shares everything with her life. You've never seen a badass mama like Michelle throw a barbell over her head. For that alone is worth watching her content.
Well, I appreciate you both. And, at the end of the day, I'm just somebody who's really, really passionate about helping mortgage and real estate professionals learn how to sell more real estate and do more loans by being real people that really care about other people. And I know that I speak that a lot and I say that a lot, but God is good. And if we leverage the opportunities that God has given us, with our platform, it's endless.
Yep. 100%. Michelle, I appreciate your time here today, and I'm sorry that has to be as short as it is. So I'm gonna welcome you back now in the near future whenever we get some time, so we can dive into this further. But
Sure.
we would appreciate it. Anybody out there that's watching this either live or maybe later on in the recording, to leave us a comment, tell us what you think, leave your questions. I'd be happy to connect you with Michelle. And just share it, because this is the only way we're going to grow this little community at the coffee table. So with that, Michelle, again, thank you. I appreciate you, and I appreciate all your insight.
Of course. Bye to both of you.
All right.
Thanks so much.
All right. Everybody, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.